Hi there, welcome to Sunnyside Journals. Welcome to another flip through of a Christmas journal that I recently completed. I have been affectionately calling her the Christmas Domestic Goddess. I'm really excited to share this journal with you. I'm so happy with how she turned out. There you can see her title right there. Christmas Domestic Goddess, but this is movable. So if the new owner wants to name it whatever they want, or maybe put the year in for, maybe they're filling it for just 1 year and they want the year. This is movable and you can turn it around, write your own title in and put it back in. So a little bit about this. This is a Better Homes and Gardens new cookbook. This edition is from 1968. And I wanted it to specifically be a Christmas journal, so it needed a different cover. And I opted to use a black plate on matte on the back to bring the spine in to match everything and still look Christmassy. And then I've used this Norman Rockwell print here of the family arriving. I imagine they're arriving at Grandma's house. And there's our domestic goddess right there. Isn't she? She's all pulled together. Christmas is ready. Let's go. So inside, you're going to see through this flip through a lot of magazine illustrations and advertisements from Christmas magazines from the 1940s, the 1950s, and yes, the 1960s, and as well from a National Geographic magazine from the 40s. And I have done a lot of collaging in this book, and it's just really come together nicely. And as you can see, it looks like a dinner party ready to happen. I've recovered 13 dividers here that you'll see. I've put new Christmassy tabs on the front, but for each one, I've left the back as the original so that you can see the previous life that this book at one time had. So here on the first end paper here, the front end paper, you'll see that I've made the end papers out of an ad for Brillo soap pads. And I just love her. He's putting her mink stole on her and they're going out for the evening. And she had plenty of time to get ready because she uses new Brillo soap pads. On this side is a recipe for fruitcake, and the illustration for it is over here. So this all was one big page out of a little family newspaper called the Family Herald from 1957. I included the date right there. So this is also a tuck spot, and I've made a few journaling cards for you. I had fun doing that. This is a vintage present tag, and this is an actual recipe card from somebody I don't know. So you're on your own deciding whether you give that a try or not, but I liked that she wrote it in green pencil, and I thought that made it festive, and it's for a recipe for panda cake, which I don't know what that is, but I just tucked those in there. I included a calendar, a little tiny calendar, for December 1968. So it looks like that year, Christmas Day was on a Wednesday. Here, it is also a pocket, and I've put in my signature Two Nanas bookmark, and on the back, I've just used a little bit of vintage paper and my usual little information right there. And I really like how that fits. I don't know how you would use a bookmark in this book, but I always put one in. So there it is. You might want to use it maybe in another journal that you're working on. Over here, I created this divider, again, using the Christmas cake picture, and it was an advertisement for Ogilvy flour, and I made that into, I collaged it and made it into a pocket like that. I've included a vintage Christmas invitation. So maybe our goddess is planning a party for all of her friends. And I did a little bit of sewing on there, and I really like how that turned out. Now, in this binder journal, I have included in between each divider, just to get you started, 2 pieces of a very light, nice cardstock. It's got a nice little texture to it. So I prepped those for you, and there's 2 in between each divider. You can certainly put more in if you like, or if you prefer paper, pull these out. You can use this to make journaling cards, and you can use paper in between. That's the beauty of a binder junk journal. Your options are endless. Now, here's an ad for the second divider, and it was for Supreme Aluminum, the black and white back here. So this, and this was all on one big page. And I think they wanted it to look like the husband was so thrilled with his wife that he was giving her new pots and pans for Christmas. And in the little note it says there, "Darling, you're a dream, you're beautiful, you're practical, you're a good cook, you deserve Supreme." But of course, our goddesses are quite cheeky. And I just imagine that even in the 40s and 50s, she knew better. And perhaps she was getting those pots and pans for him. So I love how this, she was from a fashion article, so I fussy cut her and put her on there. And I've got to say, I think my mother would have had the imagination to give my dad some pots and pans. And knowing my dad, he would have happily used them. He was a good cook. This was in the original, no, this one wasn't in, this was in a different one, because this is from Good Housekeeping. Oh, this was in one of the magazines that I used. That's right, one of the magazines that I used to cut up all these ads. This was in it, so you can subscribe for some friends. So I thought I'd tuck that in there, because this is a pocket, a tuck spot. And then I just made a little journaling card. There's a box of mincemeat. Hold on, let me pull that up there. There we go. None such mincemeat. Never heard of it. And this is actually the rest of the writing for the Ogilvy flower. So this actually could go back here because it had to do with the Ogilvy flower. You can see right there it says on it, Ogilvy all-purpose flour. So I just tucked that in there. Let's keep going. So this one's, all the different tabs have their own Christmassy covering. And then on the back, this was for barbecues. 2 blank pages to get you started. This was the back page from a 1940s National Geographic, and that's why it has some bumps and bruises and scuffs and scrapes, but I loved it. It's so pretty. It's Coca-Cola ad with the famous Coca-Cola Santa, and I've put on a vintage Christmas tag there. It's flocked poinsettia, and I like how that turned out. It's soft and fuzzy. And this one was actually for breads. And here's 2 blank pages. I like how this one turned out. I really wanted to use this ad back here because it's got Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball there. Apparently Desi owned a hotel at one point, and it was an advertisement for a rubber liner to put underneath carpets. But it was in a Christmas magazine. I think that's why they did it in green. So I wanted to use it. And of course, I did a little bit of collaging. This mincemeat pie was from the None Such mincemeat, and a few little tickets and tags here. These actually, I got these from the washi tape shop. And this was actually an original photo from out of the original text block. Now, I loved this Vermont-made syrup. Again, I thought the green went really nicely with the green over here. This was fussy cut out of a Christmas book that I have. And I thought I'd add in here again, you can subscribe to the Workbasket magazine. Those are awesome little magazines, and I have a whole stack of vintage ones. So I've been saving that for a while, and this is a little, come on you, it's a little tuck spot there. And then if you follow me on Instagram, I had a good laugh over um, this tonic for when your nerves are on edge. And I thought, well, you know what? I've got to make a journaling card out of that. And I just put a little tag onto it. So that's just there. Obviously, these journal cards you can put wherever you like. And that was originally for cakes, frostings, and fillings. And again, 2 blank pages. This page, I've put a little tuck in there. This is a pocket, and I fussy cut it out of a Christmas book I have. Now, these little tags back here are actually faux tags. So if I lift this up, you'll see I've collaged those in. And the fun of a domestic goddess journal for me is putting in one of the myriad of laxative ads that are in those magazines. They were quite concerned about laxatives and regularity. So I had to put one in. I put just a little, there's a little detail here of a little ribbony flower, and he's giving her a new watch for Christmas. This was out of the National Geographic. And then this was just another ad, a little recipe out of one of the magazines. So I added a tab and some lace and a little vintage stocking, and you can journal on the back. I popped that in there. This was candies. 2 blank pages. This collage took me over a day to finally be happy with how I laid it out. And I'm really happy with how it finally turned out. There's a nice little balance of, important things like a plum pudding, and also cheeky little things from women's magazines such as a Modesse ad, Anadin. This was out of a British magazine, so I assume that's what they call Anison over there, Anadin. And this might be one of my favorites. The little girl who says, "Look what Santa's brought for you, Mummy," and it's a new vacuum cleaner. Like, come on. That's just the best. And how to keep your youthful figure, even though you're going to all those Christmas parties. So, again, I'm just thrilled. And this was fussy cut out of a book that I recently found on Christmas vintage graphics. So I think the whole thing came together great. And it was, okay, I had to sub in. So this is also candy. There's one back here that was candy. 5 was candies from the original book. And this is candy from a different book because there were some dividers missing from this this binder cookbook when I found it. But it ended up looking really nice. That's so pretty. I'm glad it made it into the book. 2 more blank pages. This page is quite simple. I just combined 2 different illustrations. This was actually from the original text block. And then where it says a gift in a million for a wife in a million, that was from one of the magazines. And look at him giving her a new fridge for Christmas. Come on. So I made a little tuck spot here. And there's a little, I don't think it's vintage, but it's definitely retro. I don't think people even send invitations by snail mail anymore. So I've tucked that in there in case she's now going to go ahead with that Christmas party because she got her new fridge. Wouldn't that be great? And again, a different tab here covering up. And it was casseroles and 1-dish meals. 2 more blank pages. I like how this page turned out. I made a tuck spot from vintage Christmas tags for presents. And it was kind of tricky to get them all the way I liked them to lay with the nice alternating dark and light. And And this was from the original text block. This photo, I glued it on. And this is a vintage Christmas card that I just thought that fits in there perfectly. It looks nice, just peeking out from behind there. A little bit of silver sparkly lace. And that was, oh, this was for salads. And it was from a different, it was also from another one that I have, another Better Homes and Gardens book. I can't remember why I covered the back, but I did. There's an important reason. You got to trust me on this. And I don't think it takes away from the book. This book is just so awesome. It might be one of my favorite journals that I've ever made. It's just jammed full of vintage collaging. So here, I used one of the original photos from out of the text block and a little bit of paper doily here, and it's even got some a coffee stain on it, and I just left it there because a good cookbook that's been well used will be covered in stains and food. And that's a very important reason why I actually opted not to put any lace hanging off the edges, because whoever chooses to perhaps adopt this book may want to actually use it for recipes. And I don't think it just didn't make sense to have lacy fabric and frills hanging off the edge. But if it's going to be a writing journal, you can still go ahead and do that after the fact. This is just a recipe for maple walnut cake from Clabber Girl baking powder. I've never heard of Clabber Girl. We don't have that in Canada where I live. This I found in an old tin that I purchased at an antique shop, and I thought the tin was empty, and when I got home I pried it open and it was just chock full of recipes and magazine clippings from a lady who had collected them in Nova Scotia, and they were all dated from the 1940s. So that's just a really cool thing, and I've been waiting for the right journal to put this in, and she came along. This is perfect in here. And then I made a couple of recipe cards, and these are actually scans of my mother's recipe cards. One is for pumpkin pie, and that's actually her handwriting. And this is her recipe for pie crust. Now it says there, use shortening or lard. My mother always used lard, and I know it's not healthy, but if you're only having pie once or twice a year, go for the good stuff. And then I backed it onto some old recipe cards, and I grunged them up so that they looked like they had been in the kitchen and used during cooking time. So I love how these turned out. So you're going to get a little bit of my mom in with your journal, and she definitely was a Christmas domestic goddess. She sure made it look effortless, and I know it was a lot of work because I've since done it for many, many years. Here is 2 more blank pages. And another tuck spot here. Let's pull these out. I've done some faux little coupon-y things in there for you can subscribe to different things. And this was a photo out of the original text block. This came out of one of the magazines as well. And then I made this tuck spot from the magazine. I loved with the mittens. That turned out really cute, and a little bit of green lace that covers this this tab sticking out. This is just a little vintage children's card that they would, I guess, give out in school because they didn't have envelopes, so it might have been used the way Valentines are for children at classrooms. And then I've had this for a while. This was also in that tin from the lady in Nova Scotia. And there are recipes inside. So what to do with your baking gums. I guess those are like Jujubes baking gums. That's what I'm thinking. So again, hanging on to that for the right occasion, and this is it. This was Easy Meals for Chapter 10. 2 more blank pages. This, I just had fun collaging on this one. There's another one of those felted poinsettia tags here. I liked the balance here. These are her silk stockings, and he needs new underwear. So, I mean, you've got to look out for each other. And with the black and white, I think that turned out nice with the buffalo check there. And that was for chapter 11, Meats. My. Two more pages. This as well is collage of some cute little ads that I really enjoyed. And this is for knitting patterns for girls' hats. And I think I had every single one of those hats. And although I think these are definitely flowers, I always like putting them in my winter journals because they remind me of snowflakes. So I put those there. And that was for Pastry and Pies, chapter 12. This one turned out cool. I had been keeping my eye on that for a while. I just like how cheery it looks, and apparently ice buckets make the perfect Christmas gift. And then I did another little collaging here up the side. You don't want gray hair for Christmas, so this was a kind of rinse to cover those gray hairs. And I made it needed a little tuck spot, so I put a tuck spot in. I tried to add laces and ruffles where I could, where they wouldn't necessarily get spilled on too much. And there's a little vintage Christmas tag right there. So I actually put a little sparkly gold thread through it, and I like how that turned out. And this is how to roast your turkey. And I got this in Happy Mail, I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Nancy sent this to me quite a while back. And it's perfect right there. That was for, table settings. It was originally table settings. So there's two more blank pages. These journals always come with a placekeeper. I like these because I use it as my template to punch holes when I want to put more pages in, because these aren't your standard 3-ring binder. They're 5 and they're not spaced the way a 3-ring binder is. It's smaller this way. I had to, let's open this up. I had to make a journaling card out of this. It was in the original text block, and it shows all the cookbooks that they were coming out with that year. There was a lot of fine print down below, but it was so small and it would have made it too big, so I cut it off. But this, of course, this is our Christmas domestic goddess now, right there. And in 1968, it had it listed down below. It was $5.95. So I made a price tag and put it onto the tag, just so you'd know that your Christmas Domestic Goddess cookbook was originally $5.95. And then on the back, I put a little bit more mincemeat there. Oh, hold on. Let's get there we go. And that's just a nice big journaling card. And that tucks in there where I've put these holly along the side. And I love her. I think she's a very fitting ending to a Christmas Domestic Goddess, because she's throwing away that apron, as pretty as it is. Who needs the apron when you look that fabulous? And you can go off to your party hassle-free because you made your do-ahead dinner using Kaiser foils. It's just a wonderful thing. So I've tucked that back there, and the back is just the regular red buffalo check. This book was such a pleasure to do. I think I smiled and giggled and laughed through the whole thing as I made it. It took a lot of concentration for me, but I just found that it really challenged my brain artistically, making sure it all fit and flowed together, and I do think it worked. This book, this journal, will be in my Etsy shop. If you're interested, the link is down below, and you can go over and take a look and see if maybe this is for you. It's probably going to be listed either later today or even maybe tomorrow. You know what? I'm losing track of when I've posted these keep an eye on my Instagram account, and I will announce on my Instagram account when it gets listed. But I'm hoping it'll be listed either Sunday or Monday. Um, but I'll give you a heads up over on Instagram. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed looking through the Christmas domestic goddess that I made for this year, and I love how this turned out. Thanks for joining me. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Bye.